Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, your front row seat to South Africa's most tangled political courtroom showdowns, legal curveballs, and constitutional chaos. If you're into gripping stories of law, politics, and the occasional courtroom mic drop, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Trust me, today's episode is one for the books. So, what happens when the President of the Republic thinks he can suspend a minister, but the Constitution taps him on the shoulder and says, "Sorry, sir, where exactly in Chapter 5 did you find that power?" Welcome to the latest drama unfolding at the Constitutional Court, where the uMkhonto weSizwe party, yes, that MK party, has thrown down the gauntlet. And their legal heavy hitter, Advocate Anton Katz, has made it very clear the President of South Africa has no constitutional authority to suspend a minister. None. Zip. Zilch. According to Katz, you either hire the minister, or you fire them. There's no timeout bench in the Constitution. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of what this means for South Africa's executive power, let's paint the picture. Imagine a minister caught up in controversy. Maybe they're being investigated, maybe they've embarrassed the government on live television, or maybe they're just the political flavor of the month for some internal faction that wants them out. Instead of going through the tough decision of firing them outright, which comes with political consequences, the president decides to put them on suspension. A polite little break. Sounds harmless, right? Well, not so fast. According to Anton Katz, that exact move is unconstitutional. In his sharp and clear presentation before the Constitutional Court, Katz made one major point that struck a nerve with legal experts, political analysts, and anyone who's tired of power being exercised through back doors. He said, and I quote, "Chapter 5 of the Constitution grants no power to suspend, only to appoint or dismiss, with nothing in between." That one sentence. It could change the entire game. Let's unpack why this matters. Chapter 5 of the South African Constitution outlines the powers of the President. These are not vague, wishy-washy powers open to interpretation on a whim. They are specific, deliberate, and limited, for good reason. South Africa's constitutional democracy is built on checks and balances. And Katz's argument is that if you allow a gray area, where the president can pause someone's role, you invite arbitrary leadership. Leaders could use suspension as a weapon. You don't like someone? Suspend them. Want to avoid political backlash? Suspend them. Want to keep someone under your thumb without officially removing them? You guessed it, suspension. And that, Katz argues, opens the door to abuse. He explained that the Constitution was written to keep the executive's power tight and well-defined. You appoint a minister when you want them in. You dismiss them when you want them out. But inventing a half-in, half-out state, like suspension, creates a murky middle ground where the rules no longer apply. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. This argument doesn't just apply to one isolated case. It sends shockwaves through recent political history. Think about all those ministers who were quietly put on leave, asked to step aside, or temporarily relieved of duties. If Katz is right, all of that might have been unconstitutional. It could invalidate past decisions. It could trigger challenges. It could even open the door to ministers suing for unlawful suspension. And here's the kicker, it also sends a serious message to the sitting president, and whoever might take over next, stick to your lane. Let's look at the big picture. This isn't just about legal interpretation. This is about the political culture we are normalizing. South Africa has seen how power, when unchecked, can spiral out of control. We've had ministers shuffled in and out like playing cards, commissions of inquiry exposing years of corruption, and presidents making executive decisions that later backfire spectacularly. So when someone like Katz stands up in court and says, hey, let's follow the Constitution as it is written, not how politicians wish it were. That's a serious call to discipline, accountability, and governance. Now, let's not forget the political context. The MK party, led by former President Jacob Zuma, is no stranger to controversy. Critics might argue that this is all part of a broader strategy to weaken the Ramaphosa presidency or score points in court. But regardless of the MK party's motivations, Katz's argument stands on its own. It's rooted in constitutional law, not party politics. In fact, some legal scholars have quietly supported this view for years. But this is the first time it's getting a proper hearing before the highest court in the land. The outcome could shape executive behavior for generations to come. Let's be honest, South Africans are tired. Tired of leaders bending rules. Tired of the same faces dodging accountability. Tired of legal gymnastics used to justify power grabs. This court case might not fix everything overnight, but it puts a spotlight on the heart of the issue: what kind of government do we want? One bound by law? Or one that creates loopholes and lives in them? If the court sides with Katz's interpretation, it could mean a more honest approach to leadership. It would force presidents to make real choices, appoint someone if they trust them, and if they don't, dismiss them. But no more parking ministers in limbo like it's political purgatory. And let's talk about the implications for ministers, too. Without the fear of sudden suspension, ministers would at least be protected from vague, disciplinary leave announcements that are more about saving face than enforcing actual justice. It restores a bit of dignity to the office, even if it doesn't fix all the other problems in government. So, what do you think? Should the president have the power to suspend a minister, or should it be all or nothing, appointment or dismissal, with no room in between? Is Katz right to insist on strict adherence to the Constitution, or is a little flexibility needed in complex political realities? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, we want to hear from you. And while you're down there, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's tired of watching ministers disappear from cabinet without explanation. That's it for today, folks. Constitutional clarity, executive restraint, and a little bit of courtroom fire, just another day in South African politics. See you next time.